this conversation focuses all about the challenges that extreme weather brings. And I'm joined by Sergeant Rob Simpson from Cheshire Police. Hello.
Hello, yeah.
Lovely to be with you. So you've been working and looking after Cheshire's response to extreme weather conditions for years now. So back in the early days, what were uniformed officers wearing?
So essentially, we were turning up, we were wearing the uniform we'd been issued. They'd already looked at sort of the more protective kind of jackets, but when we're looking at them, they were about 50 years old. They were really, really primitive kind of materials, fantastically advanced at their time, but obviously not giving us the kind of heat retention or, the thermal properties that we require when we're operating in these really challenging environments. So it's a bit of alarming, and so it started this kind of conversation. Actually, there's so much out there, we need to look at what we're wearing and we need to move forward with things.
And did you find that officers were actually using their own money to make their own purchases to kind of supplement their uniform to keep warm?
Yeah, sadly, obviously the constabulary provides the uniform that we wear, but if we wanted extra thermal layers, we wanted something that would keep your neck warm, just keep the wind out, we would have to supplement them ourselves. You'd put it on your credit card, you put it onto your bank account, and you're kind of just having to find things that worked for you to try and keep you warm, because we could be operating out there for like 8 hours, 9 hours at a time.
And what provided you with the inspiration to sort of go out and source new equipment to improve the whole situation with what officers were wearing?
I think the team's very much into outdoor industry anyway. We're all like keen hill walkers and so on. So it was only kind of natural that we would look to the outdoor industry, even the military as well, because a lot of the stuff that we were saying we need better equipment was quite obviously out there. There are suppliers making this stuff, but were we actually, finding it? Were we actually getting the right stuff for us to use? And the answer was really no. So we took quite inspiration from all those different areas. And like the emergency services show, for instance, you've got all these suppliers here. Some of them have got equipment here that don't know fits our role. And it's a great way of networking. It's a great way of us going around and saying, well, actually, the equipment you're selling here or you're showcasing today solves a problem for us that you perhaps didn't even know that we had, or we didn't even know we had. So it's a really good event for that.
Have you got an example of an incident where you thought, yes, that is really going to solve a challenge that we have?
So it seems like a really obvious one for us, because we go up in those environments. But some of the, the roadside flares, lights, the flashing lights that you can get that are designed for road traffic collisions. Well, they're quite lightweight, they're getting better, they're getting longer lasting batteries, which means we could take one of them, and I've seen one in the show today that you could put in your backpack and you head out to this kind of remote location where someone needs the help. You've got a flashing light there that will instantly make you more visible in the middle of the night for people to be able to find the location of exactly where you are. And it's a product that's not been designed for necessarily what we would use it for, but actually it would work, and it gives another option.
And do you feel that organisations really do have a responsibility to make sure that their workers are equipped with the correct sort of attire and equipment?
Absolutely. And I think that the unusual bit is we have to tell our organisations what we need. Now, when we run Winter Storm, we can I can shout to I'm blue in the face, this is the kind of equipment we need to keep our officers safe and well, and all the other emergency services. But we've joined with the universities because we need the academic evidence behind it to be able to go to the people that have the purse strings, the people that control the budgets, and say it is worth investing in the right kit to keep people, going and keeping them safe.
And you mentioned Winter Storm. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So every year we bizarrely like to crash a vehicle at the bottom of an indoor ski slope, which sounds like an unusual exercise, but it is. And then we stress test all our policies and our kind of what we think we can do. We actually say, well, actually, can we achieve that? It's the biggest one in the UK, that slope. And so we make everyone walk to the top of the slope and walk all the way back down to be able to get to the incident. We're testing equipment while we're doing it. And we're kind of saying, well, okay, on paper, we all turn out, this person should do this team should do that. But when you simulate it, we remove some of those options for them. I like to make it a bit challenging, and as a result, it really does test people's resolve, their creativity, their imagination for how they're going to rescue people in kind of extreme weather environments.
And can you go into a little bit more detail about, you mentioned working in partnership with universities. Will you tell me a bit more about that, please?
So, I kind of pitched the idea to them and said, really interested in trying to get some kind of academia behind it. So Liverpool John Moores University and Leeds Trinity University both jumped on board, thought it was a good idea, kind of made me a bit relieved that actually people believe in what we're trying to do. And they're doing the kind of the survey work behind it, asking people how well trained they are, what kind of equipment they're being issued, and do we feel like we're prepared? And there's a lot of people saying, absolutely, we know what we're doing. Then they came along to the exercise, and then when they did their post surveys, they were saying, actually, no, we've learned quite a lot there. It allowed us to introduce, professional speakers that were preparing them. A lot of them have attended this emergency services show today as well, to talk about sort of resilience, because again, alongside the equipment, which is incredibly important, you've got to know how to use it, and you've got to know how to keep going in these kind of environments. So the university's there. It kind of validates, is probably the word, all the stuff that we're learning as organisations, both the emergency services and our brilliant voluntary rescue services too.
And having that sort of academic platform, how does that help propel you forward on your mission?
Well, for me, it makes it easier when I'm going into meetings to say, look, I've got this, qualitative and quantitative data. I'm very passionate about the subjects I talk about. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm very good at trying to put it in a way that people will understand, that that sells the point. So I can come across and say, this is why we need it, it's brilliant, and it might just sound like I just want the latest piece of equipment. But actually by having that kind of background, that knowledge, those experts that have worked in the industry as well before they've gone into the university environment, saying that actually this is the reason why we do need it, and you've got various different people from right across the board saying, we support this. It just puts that meat on the bone, as it were.
And what is next? What have you got up your sleeve?
Well, visiting this show has really kind of inspired me to see where we are going to go next with it. So we've been speaking to loads of suppliers as well. They want to get involved in the winter storm kind of branding. They want their equipment testing. It's funny, actually, because when we spoke to one of the suppliers and I said, how do you test your equipment to see whether it works to cold weather? They said, we put it into a freezer kind of environment, down to about -20, take it out, see if it still works. I'm saying, well, yeah, but you're not using it as a human factor working in those environments. Give it to someone who's going to break it, and then you can say it's been really tested. But we're looking at what we can do about water. So that might be flooding exercise coming up. We've got plans for that as well. So sadly, with the way that climate change is going and so on, we are seeing these kind of extreme weather events. And as we speak, some parts of Europe are suffering as well already. And also heat. So all our uniforms across the board, our equipment is designed for a UK temperate climate. But we are seeing, maybe not this year, but we are seeing moments where we're getting lengthened periods of heat. Are we prepared for that? Does our kit work? Are we in our mindset keeping ourselves hydrated? And when we talk about, there's a real difficulty for those of us in emergency services. People sometimes forget we need to eat, drink, and we need to go to the loo, for instance. So if we're encouraging people to keep on taking on fluids and all that sort of stuff, there's that mindset of they don't want to be seen to be taking a break, taking drinks of water, having to nip off to the... So again, it's trying to encourage people to look after themselves, as well as us doing this kind of testing to make sure the right equipment. So the future's looking great for us. We're really, really desperate to get people to, jump on board, because the more voices, the more input we can get from industry, from, guest speakers and so on, is so important to make sure that we get this shared voice to improve things for everyone.
And how important is the Emergency Services Show as a showcase for all this great equipment available?
It's brilliant. One of the things, I've been here in the past when I wasn't involved in this exercise, and I've been one of those people that goes around looking at the equipment, and it's kind of, when you actually get involved in a project, it really changes things up. You are able to speak to people who know stuff, people that are equally as passionate about their subjects as well. And when you're sort of talking about the equipment and saying, well, what could this do for us? And when you're meeting people in this kind of environment, meeting old friends as well that you've met along the way, and meeting new contacts, it's absolutely invaluable, absolutely invaluable.
And you can be found at the Collaboration Zone.
Yeah.
What can people expect to see you doing there?
Okay, so we've got a stand, like I said, in the Collaboration Zone. We've got the car that we keep rolling down the hill. It's lovely and battered down there. Come and have a look. We've got the VR headsets as well, so you can see the exercise that we put on. Look around it in full 360, see everyone moving around and rescuing people, and talk to us about how you can get involved. Because you might have something, or you might have a question that stimulates a new way of thinking about something, or you might have a piece of equipment that's going to solve the problem that we either don't know we have yet, or that we're looking for that solution for. So it's really important people do have that conversation with us.
So there's lots of ambient sounds. You can tell we're at the emergency services show. You've been coming here over the years in different guises. How important a date in the diary is it for the blue light industry?
So I have to say it's hugely important. For myself, I'm incredibly grateful of the journey I've had with the Emergency Services Show, allowing me to speak on the stages and speak to yourself today. But for anyone, whatever their level of experience within the emergency services or the brilliant voluntary rescue services, how long they've been in for, there is something for everyone here. And even if it doesn't fit your role now, it can put you on that journey. It can lead you to different directions in your career with the kind of equipment and the people you'll meet here. It's absolutely fantastic.
Rob, brilliant to talk to you. Thank you for joining me.